Hi everyone, it's LadyJenevia. The Boys Season 2 premiere has finally arrived and I want to talk about it. I know that I have made several video essay reviews about Season 1, but doing those in such a short window of time took a lot out of me, so this review is not going to be anywhere near as formal as those videos were. I'm also not going to get into every detailed thought I have about every character or plot detail that was presented in these first 3 episodes, but if you do want to chat more in depth about it, just post whatever you want me to talk about in the comments and I will be more than happy to respond. It should go without saying, but I will say it anyway, this video will have spoilers. First things first, there are some new characters that are being introduced this season, or characters that are being given more material in this premiere. When Homelander had his first meeting with Stan Edgar, and Homelander was trying to posture, I was struggling not to laugh because I knew he had no idea who he was dealing with. You don't hire Giancarlo Esposito to play Vought's CEO if that character is supposed to just cower in fear in front of Homelander. He hit Homelander with the verbal 1-2 jab, he scolded him like a child, and in that moment I was just upset that I had not made any popcorn for the occasion. The main new character that I'm sure most people are discussing is Stormfront. She is the new member of the Seven and a terrifyingly brutal villain. Watching her was a real roller coaster because on the one hand, I like that she shakes up the picture-perfect image that Vought's PR team is so determined to put out. I also like a lot of her one-liners, like when she told Annie, "If someone sticks a dick in your mouth, bite it off." That was a moment that made me go, I think I love her. Also, regarding that bit of advice that she gave, there is a Grey's Anatomy episode that had that exact thing happen. They found it in a patient's stomach and then her attacker showed up bleeding from his, well, you know where, and then they were able to reattach it just in time for him to get carted off to prison. Clearly it was very memorable because I'm sure that episode is many years old now and I still remember it. Another line that I loved from Stormfront was from when she said to the guy who was pitching his vision for the film Dawn of the Seven, "You write all women as either unknowable Hitchcock bitches or Michael Bay dolls." That is one of the greatest reads I have heard all year. That read has layers. So that line made me go, okay, I definitely love her. But then, not only did she murder Kimiko's brother in cold blood, she had to be racist while doing it. Now, the racism is there for a reason, but I will discuss that in more depth a little bit later on in this video. I really like the way that Stormfront is giving Homelander a taste of his own medicine. You can tell he is not prepared for her to challenge his place in the status quo of Vought and the Seven. Also, everyone talked a lot about Homelander's plane incident and how shocking and cold-blooded it was, and yet her wreaking havoc through that apartment complex, that made Homelander's plane incident look like an afternoon nap. And this was only episode 3. We've got another month of episodes to go. Moving on to the next talking point, I really like how these first few episodes were planting seeds for the show's future. It's already been renewed for season 3. They mentioned Soldier Boy during that big speech about the history and origins of Vought, and Jensen Ackles has already been announced as playing that character in season 3. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Eric Kripke also said at Comic-Con that the show was going to tackle things like white nationalism in season 2, and in these first 3 episodes, they've already been dropping these little details for the show to start gradually digging deeper into that topic in the remaining episodes. Some examples of that include Homelander at the focus group saying that he wants them to use Save America as their hook instead of Save the World. He also is irritated when Becca is shown to be practicing and teaching her son Spanish. Quick question. Do monolinguals deserve rights? Surely not. That also brings us full circle to Stormfront being racist. Now, normally I get exasperated when people make villains bigoted just because they're villains, but in this case, I'm more open to the material doing this because the showrunner, Eric Kripke, has said that this is a topic that the show will be exploring. The hateful rhetoric is there for a deeper reason. So I'm willing to give it room to complete its journey in the material, and then I'll decide how I feel about it. Now let's briefly go through the roster of characters and we will call it a day. It's a massive ensemble and I don't want to edit a 30-minute video right now when I'm already working on a separate video essay that is over an hour long at this point. Not by much, but we'll see how long it ends up being. We'll start with the 7, and let's start with the worst. Imagine how annoyed I was over how long it took to get some quality Frenchie and Kimiko interactions, but I had to sit through these agonizingly long sequences of the Deep using his self-loathing over his gills as an excuse for why he assaults and degrades women. Lots of people hate their bodies. It doesn't mean that they go around being a predator. And even if he doesn't say himself that this is why he does what he does, the show sure as hell frames it that way. Why do I have to sit through an unbearably long scene of him tripping and talking to his gills when Frenchie and Kimiko have not even been given a swoon-inducing interaction at that point yet in the show's premiere episodes? And if you watch my other videos on the boys, then you already know that I just don't like the Deep as a character. I find him to be insufferable. But I also said that I was open to the show changing my mind about him in season 2. They still have yet to do so, and I don't care about him in the slightest joining religion. I'm not saying that it won't be interesting, I'm just saying that where I'm at right now, there's plenty of material for other characters on this show that I would much rather watch than anything he is doing at this point. They also never addressed his assault, and at this point I will be shocked if they do. I wish they would. I would really like to see that happen for a male character that's been assaulted, but at this point I'm just not holding my breath. Moving on, I am totally vibing with Maeve and A-Train. I really enjoy the nuance of those characters. Maeve finally told her ex that the reason why she's always been pushing her away is because of Homelander's volatile behavior. A-Train got Annie to check her privilege. He pointed out how for some people it's a huge loss if the Compound V situation is being exposed publicly because not everybody grew up with a lot of financial security. I like how even though that's a small line in the grand scheme of 3 episodes being dropped at once, it gives the character so much more dimension. Now I feel like I'm on a bit of a lonely island because I really want there to be more material for Black Noir. He's always just hanging out in the background, being cooler than everyone else. I would like for them to give him more to do. I like his vibe, and maybe they will in the future episodes, but at least for this premiere of the first 3 episodes of season 2, he didn't really get to do much. Moving on to Homelander. He is a nightmare, even worse than before, I would say. I don't really remember if they outright showed that he was a racist in season 1, but they're definitely letting us know now. I'm very curious about how things are going to unfold with his son, who clearly does not like him. There's real potential there to do something almost mythological if you play into that idea of superheroes being like gods among men and clashes between fathers and sons. All of this tension that's being built, it feels like a tragedy waiting to happen. I'm very worried for that little boy and his mom. So we'll see if they survived all those years just for nothing. Then there's Annie, who is struggling, but I really enjoy watching her struggle. She's left religion, love that for her. She's blackmailing people, I love that too. When you have a character start off as wholesome as she was at the beginning of season 1, it's really fun to watch her navigate these moral conundrums that she gets forced into. I hope she and Huey can work it out soon. Maybe by the end of the season they'll have fully reconciled. I'm rooting for them anyway. I also got really emotional when Huey called her crying and left her that voicemail in episode 3 in which he says that he's sorry and that he loves her. We love a man who is in touch with his emotions. Speaking of Huey, we might as well switch over to talking about the boys now. I'm really enjoying this clash that he has with Butcher. I've been growing increasingly more annoyed with Butcher because he's so relentlessly selfish about what he wants at the cost of anyone and everyone else's well-being. We get it. You want your wife back. But this is an ensemble show where a lot of the characters are more likable than him, so I'm not about to root for him to get his wife back if it means making my faves suffer. This is not some action B-movie where the entire narrative exists to serve one grouchy protagonist. I did enjoy that line though where Mother's Milk told Butcher that Huey is his canary. You have to keep him alive or else you'll know you're too far gone. I could have fallen out of my chair when Huey was practically catatonic, sitting inside of a whale's guts. This show is very, unique. I had to rewind when Mother's Milk said to Huey, if you're the fucking reason why I can't finish that Vermont country dollhouse, I will fucking end you. Because it was so funny. I wanted to hear it twice. Now, before I get to the final talking point of the video, Frenchie and Kimiko, I wanted to quickly mention that I really love when the boys throws in a bit of meta. They have an incredible level of self-awareness and appreciation for superhero content and pop culture in general, like how the Dawn of the Seven poster looks very similar to the BVS logo. Also, during the pitch meeting, they name drop Hans Zimmer, who has scored his fair share of superhero stories. Beauty lies in the details, and the boys definitely understands that. Finally, of course, I have saved the best for last. Frenchie and Kimiko. Where do I even begin? I'm really living for Frenchie's fashion this season. Episode 1, he's in a crop top. It still counts, you could see a bit of his midriff. And then in episode 3, he's got a cat on his shirt. So now I'm just looking forward to seeing whatever it is that Frenchie's going to wear next. Did everyone catch the fact that Frenchie called Huey Petite Huey in episode 1? That is so ridiculously cute, and I was completely unprepared for it. Frenchie also knows who Katniss Everdeen is, and I just don't know what to do with that information. Despite the fact that it took an annoyingly long duration for them to get some decent Frenchie and Kimiko action going, when it finally happened, as to be expected, it was everything. It was an interesting choice for them to have Frenchie struggling to understand Kimiko now that she's learning to write words with the alphabet, but it was so worth it to see him reunite with her after she ran off with her brother in episode 2, and he finally calls her mon coeur. Should not have taken that long to get our first mon coeur in season 2, but okay, that's a choice. Anyway, so Frenchie rolls up and is all concerned about his wifey, and he just wants to know if she's okay. And she just looks at him and doesn't speak, of course, because she still doesn't do that. And he looks back at her and he just nods his head in understanding. The power that they have. Ooh! And it was so sweet how he wanted to learn her language and tried really hard to be nice to her brother. Even if it was Frenchie's fault that her brother ended up getting out of his restraints, you still can't help but love him. I'm telling you, Frenchie is all heart. Now on to Queen Kimiko. Wow, what an incredible performer. I could cry for how brilliant Karen Fukuhara was in this premiere. Kimiko stands, we are getting fed this season. She is emoting so much more than ever before. She's got so much range. She's speaking her own language. She's smiling. I don't think my heart can take it, but if this is how I go, I'm fine with that. As much as it devastates me to see her have to experience even more trauma, Kimiko on a vengeance quest with her hippie himbo Frenchie to support her at any time. What more could I ask for? Admittedly, I would have loved to see them baking again, but that promotional content of Frenchie giving her a bazooka, the only relationship I need. As long as the show keeps putting Kimiko and Frenchie in the spotlight, I'll be more than satisfied with this season. I'm going to leave it there. It will be a lot easier to go more in depth in the coming weeks since there will be only one new episode premiering at a time as opposed to 3 episodes dropping at once where then I have to cram a lot of material down into a quick review. If you have not already checked out my video essay reviews on The Boys Season 1, I will link the playlist in the pinned comment of this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe since it really helps out my channel, and I will be doing the rest of the season. Why not? I might as well. It would be silly for me to do all that work on Season 1 and then not follow up with Season 2. Also, be sure to follow me on social media, including platforms like Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Vero. See you in the next one. Bye.